What's going on, man? Welcome back to the basement. I'm Ron, and I know a lot of you guys found this channel from me talking about hero RB and zero RB and really pushing the limits on the running back position. And a lot of you guys have asked me, who are you targeting the later rounds at running back for RB2 and, just in these zero RB builds and kind of the different archetypes that you talk about. So I figured we'd come out here, do a top 20 sleepers video so I can go over those running backs and then some guys I'm targeting at wide receiver, quarterback, and tight end. So today we're going to talk about our top 20 sleepers in 2021 fantasy football. Now, before we get into that, make sure you go down below, subscribe, leave a like. We're going to be pumping out content daily from now until week 1. We're going to be going live as well. I do daily live streams at night where we do a mock draft or an underdog draft or an FFPC high stakes draft. So if you're interested in any of that, make sure you check out the live streams every night leading up to kickoff. Let's go.
Here we go.
The first position group we're going to cover today is going to be the running back position. These guys might as well be my zero RB targets for 2021. And the first guy on that list is going to be James White. And he's perfect for a PPR running back. I call him PPR monsters in a zero RB team. And I think we're getting him at a discount at pick 157 as the RB 49 because we're kind of just basing his production based off last year. Cam Newton made that offense anemic. He was like the focal point where he was literally everything. It was like a one-man talent show when he was playing offense. He was out there playing quarterback, goal line running back, and he's not targeting James White out of the backfield because instead of targeting to his running back, like most mobile quarterbacks, why would you target to a check down running back when you can just take off for yourself? Now we're going to be getting Mac Jones in place of Cam Newton, so a pocket quarterback, which makes James White very interesting because now we have James White in the role that he's been in the last 2 years where he finished as the RB22 in the RB10 in PPR points per game. And even last year on a down year, he still finished top 10 in targets, receiving yards, and receptions among running backs. So I love him as one of those PPR monsters, PPR floor guys where we're targeting those targets. And we're going to take another stab at this New England backfield. I like Rhamondre Stevenson. And I know that, you don't want to really be targeting the same backfield, but when we're talking about late round sleepers, I want to diversify. I don't just want to put all my eggs in one basket with James White. You can pick Rhamondre Stevenson on one team and James White on another, just not on the same team. And Stevenson has a lot of upside. He has more upside than James White because he has this build where he can do it all. He's 5'11", 231 pounds. Like he's massive, like a LeGarrette Blount kind of guy. And he also averaged in his final season at Oklahoma 110 rushing yards per game, a touchdown, and 3 catches all per game. Now, the year before that, he split time with Trey Sermon. And the reason why Trey Sermon transferred to Ohio State was because Rhamondre Stevenson ran him out of town. He was taking the majority of those touches. So if you're a fan of Trey Sermon, you should be a fan of Rhamondre Stevenson. And I think in this offense, he can be this Rex Burkhead type of guy. Rex Burkhead, he kind of leaves that role available where he can mix in on the passing downs, be on the goal line, especially at 231 pounds. And he's going to have the opportunity to do more. He's already looked great in the preseason. And this is a great tweet from Jacob Rigroad, which is why I'm targeting these Patriots running backs. He said the lowest ADP Patriot running back was the leading scorer from 2016 to 2018. Now, obviously, that hasn't panned out in 2019 and 2020. But when we know Bill Belichick likes to run a committee, I'm taking swings on that backfield every time. Sony Michel is also part of that Patriots backfield, but he gets traded to the Rams, and I'm not convinced that Sony's washed. He still has juice. Among the 64 running backs last year with at least 70 carries, he was 2nd in yards per carry, 8th in yards after contact per attempt, and 6th in breakaway run percentage. That's all higher than Darrell Henderson. He was a first-round pick. He has that pedigree, and I'm taking a shot on Sony Michel. He's going at pick 113 as the RB36. The Rams refused to commit to Darrell Henderson. They had him for a year. Then they draft his replacement with their 2nd-round pick. Then 2nd-round pick goes down. Darrell Henderson, it's supposed to be Darrell Henderson's season. They go out and they trade a 4th for Sony Michel because they don't want to commit to Darrell Henderson. I think that this is going to be a situation where Sony Michel and Rhamondre Stevenson, I like them as kind of ambiguous backfield pieces where they have some kind of role with the path to more opportunity. Then that next archetype we're going after is a handcuff running back. And my favorite true handcuff in 2021 is Tony Pollard. He's going at pick 120, so he's a little bit pricey, but I love him, man. I'm betting on the talent because I don't think that he's just a handcuff. I think he also has some standalone value where he can mix in on 3rd down. He could be a change of pace back. This is a legitimate, really solid talent. He had a higher rush grade, yards after contact per attempt, breakaway run percentage, and elusive rating than Zeke last year. He also ranked highly in all of those stats despite being in the same dumpster fire as Zeke. He was 2nd in elusive rating last year. He makes people miss. This is a legit running back where if Zeke was to go down, Tony Pollard would be an RB1, and I would say in redraft leagues he would probably be a running back going in the second or third rounds of redraft leagues. Then going back to, these ambiguous RB2 guys that are going to have a role right away with the ceiling to do more, we have James Conner. And I just can't quit James Conner. I talked about this in my RB tier list video. Conner's going to be the goal line back. We know he has a 3-down skill set. He used to catch a lot of passes for the Steelers, and he kind of played all 3 downs. He looked good for the Steelers, and he wasn't that bad last year. And now we have a situation where he's only competing with Chase Edmonds. And I'll say Chase Edmonds is going to get a lot of targets, but he's not going to get the goal line carries. Kenyon Drake was second in the NFL with most carries inside of the 3-yard line, only behind Dalvin Cook. They refuse to give any of those looks to Chase Edmonds. I think that James Conner is going to be up there for most goal line carries in the NFL. And if he gets any of those, passing down snaps and he can work into that bigger role, we could see James Conner outperform his ADP of RB37 pretty easily. Then we have Zack Moss in a similar role where instead of being the 1B, he's actually the 1A in his offense, despite only going 8 picks ahead of James Conner at the 109.5 as the RB35. And coming out of school, he had not a great skill set, but he kind of looks like David Montgomery. He has the size, he has a lot of wiggle, and he has even probably better receiving chops than a David Montgomery. And he's going to be in a role where he can do it all. He's going to be the 1A back on a very high-scoring offense. And his path to upside that I love is we just saw the Bills pay massive amounts of money to Josh Allen. There's a world, I think there's probably I'd say a 50% chance where Josh Allen, yes, he's a great goal line quarterback, but at a certain point, when you have found your franchise quarterback, he's going out there trying to win MVPs, and you have all that money invested into him, it's not advantageous to go out there and ram him into the goal line to linebackers and D linemen and have him jump over the pile. I think we're going to see a lot of goal line touches go to the running backs. And when we have Zack Moss in that 1A spot, that means he'll get a lot of those goal line looks. And he's in play for 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns, so I really like him. And another guy I think has 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns in his range of outcomes is Ronald Jones. This is a guy who is a very skilled rusher, just a pure rusher between the tackles. He was 7th amongst running backs in yards created over expected, which just pretty much filters out all the noise of offensive line, scheme, what is a running back creating? Ronald Jones finished 7th among running backs in the stat, while Giovanni Bernard and Fournette finished bottom 7. Ronald Jones is a very good runner. He has this role locked in where he's going to be the first and second down running back. He's going to be between the tackles guy. He's going to get a good amount of the goal line touches. So I think that he has a lot of upside given that he's on a high-scoring offense with a top 5 offensive line that he's running behind. And he's perfect for builds where I need an RB2 to just score points and have a high floor. And my super late favorite dart throw at running back is Ty Johnson. I don't really know what archetype he fits into. I would say he's kind of an ambiguous back, just a dart throw. But the great part is that in his range of, pick 192, you're talking about a lot of handcuffs there. I think that Ty Johnson is in this ambiguous, kind of backfield situation because I think he has a path to being the RB1 on this team. He fits perfectly in this scheme with, Robert Saleh and LaFleur. They're bringing over the 49er scheme, and it's this one-cut offense with the offensive line. And I think Ty Johnson looks a lot like Raheem Mostert. He fits perfectly as this fast 4.45 runner, one cut back like a Raheem Mostert. He has a lot of explosion, and I like him in this role. I'll take a shot on him. He was mixing in a lot with the first team during preseason games, getting more snaps than Michael Carter, and I don't see Michael Carter a 4th down back who couldn't beat out Ty Johnson in preseason, and Tevin Coleman, who has tons of injuries and is a veteran back at this point. Johnson has a path to being the Jets' RB1, where he could have like a 55% snap share and be great. Now let's talk about the wide receivers, and a lot of these guys on this list, I'll admit, are rookies. And the reason why is because they have really good results in fantasy football. Justin Jefferson, Brandon Ayuk, Chase Claypool, A.J. Brown, T. Higgins, Terry McLaurin. They were all drafted outside of the top 100 picks in fantasy football. We want to take 1 or 2 swings on those guys in every single one of our drafts. Make sure that you're leaving your draft with 2 or 3 of these guys on your bench because they're very easy to manage. After 3, 4, 5 weeks, we know these rookie wide receivers, they either got it or they don't, and then you can just throw them into the waiver wire, get somebody else. Now, first up on this list is Rondale Moore, going at pick 105 as the wide receiver 53, and I love Rondale Moore because he's locked into the slot role in Arizona. He played 44 of his 47 snaps from the slot through 2 preseason games, and he saw 8 targets and 3 rushes. We know Rondale Moore from college. He's this explosive playmaker. He's like this rocked up like running back, runs a 4.4. He's a rocked up. He looks like a rocked up running back is what I mean to say. He's like 5'9", 181. He's very compact, and he looks like this explosive Deebo Samuel type playmaker where he has yak ability and get some rushing attempts. And he looks like a discount Deebo Samuel, where he's going to give you a lot of yak and rushing ability on a high volume offense, whereas San Francisco is actually a low volume offense. So I really like the role Rondale Moore is in, and he has the ability to be used for more than that. Then we have Elijah Moore. It wasn't too long ago where Elijah Moore was tearing up training camp and was an 8th or 9th round pick on Underdog. Now he's going at pick 106.4, and we're getting a gift with his minor quad injury. So he's going to be ready to go for week 1, but he missed out on that preseason hype. So buy the dip. Elijah Moore is a very clean prospect, and I think outside of Corey Davis, he doesn't have much competition for targets. I could see him being in that 100 target range. Then we have my favorite wide receiver on this list, Terrace Marshall. For those of you guys that have been OG subscribers to the channel, you guys know back in Dynasty season, I was saying Terrace Marshall is going to be this class's DK Metcalf, and he's looked great in preseason. He's had 9 catches, 181 yards, and a touchdown. And the best sign coming out of camp so far is what the team has been telling us. David Moore got cut, which means they're going to be committing to Terrace Marshall. He's going to immediately be the wide receiver 3 on this offense. He had 23 touchdowns in his final 19 games at LSU, and he could lead the Panthers in touchdowns. This is a guy who is literally my most owned player on Underdog Fantasy through 302 drafts. I'm telling you guys, go hop on Underdog Fantasy. It's a best ball platform. Use my promo code ROM when you deposit $10 for a $25 bonus. And I have a lot of these questions in my comments saying, I have a home league coming up. I really want to try out your 0 RB strategy that you talked about in your video. I'm telling you guys, please try out 0 RB, Hero RB, Bimodal RB, all of that good stuff on Underdog Fantasy first. I've done 302 drafts and I've experimented all over the place with every kind of variation you can think of. And the best part is that because it's best ball, you don't have to set these lineups in season. So you can go out there, get $35 of value with my promo code RON. You can hop into 7 $5 drafts on the puppy, and you can go out there and really experiment. Instead of going out to ESPN where people time out and there's 12-year-olds that are just on the app making like weird picks like Patrick Mahomes at the 101, you can go in there with money on the line against experienced drafters. So make sure you use my promo code RON when you deposit $10 or more for a $25 bonus on Underdog Fantasy. And another one of my most owned wide receivers is Dyami Brown. He's going all the way to pick 180 as the wide receiver 80. This is a guy who was a 3rd round pick in the NFL draft, and he has a fine prospect profile. He broke out at age 19, which we want. We want guys that produce early so that they go to the NFL and they produce early for us on our fantasy teams. He was crazy efficient at UNC. He averaged 20 yards per reception and posted a top 10 yards per reception in his last 2 seasons. He has this perfect skill set for Ryan Fitzpatrick where he's going to be playing on the outside as flanker. He's going to be, going deep, making all of these highlight plays where Fitz chucks it up to him. I'm telling you, Dyami Brown is going to be a problem in the NFL, and he offers a lot of upside with his skill set, and that's not being factored in right now with his price. The only non-rookie wide receiver I have on my sleepers list is going to be KJ Hamler, and I think that quietly, KJ Hamler is the biggest winner from Teddy Bridgewater starting. Everyone wants to say that it's Jerry Jeudy because Jerry Jeudy is going to be the slot guy. He's going to play underneath. The problem is I don't think Jerry Jeudy is actually going to be the slot wide receiver in this offense. During the preseason games, Hamler played in the slot 55% of the time, while Jeudy only played in the slot 10% of the time. And I think that Hamler will be relevant on this offense. I think he has the chance to be a top 36 wide receiver in this offense because Teddy Bridgewater supported DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, and Curtis Samuel last year. I think there's a chance that he could support Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, and KJ Hamler this year. And at a wide receiver 76 price, I'm cool with making that bet on KJ Hamler. Let's transition to tight ends. And the first one we're going to talk about isn't really a sleeper, but he's going at pick 110 on Underdog, which is an absolute steal. And I love Noah Fant. Now, I don't think that Teddy Bridgewater can support the 3 wide receivers I just said, plus Noah Fant, but that's why we don't do projections. That's why we don't need to have each of our teams correlate with the outcome of each other. Split up diversify a little bit. Maybe you have Noah Fant on some teams, some KJ Hamler on some teams, Sutton on some teams. No one's going to bat 1,000. You can't predict, okay, these will be the 3 exact wide receivers that will be productive. This is why I won't be targeting Noah Fant. The thing is that Noah Fant is a guy you want to bet on. Individually at each price, you have to evaluate each player individually, not just from the team standpoint. And give me a swing on Noah Fant because he has this upside at tight end where he could be the next George Kittle. He has 4.5 speed and 97th percentile athleticism across the board. He could just be a stud. And Sutton could go down, Jeudy could go down. Things can happen outside of our control, but I just want to bet on the freak athlete that is Noah Fant. Another guy who's a pretty good athlete, these are the kind of guys we want to target at tight end, is Gerald Everett. He runs like a 4.62. He's very solid, and I love him because he's always been good in LA. He was just overshadowed by Higbee. They were running a lot of 12 personnel. He didn't get to shine there, but I think that he's going to be utilized a lot with the Seahawks. They only kept 4 wide receivers on their roster after cuts, and Everett's going to be used a ton, split out as a wide receiver. He's going to be used in motion. They're going to get very creative with him out not in line, but in the slot out wide. He's going to play all across the formation in this Shane Waldron offense where they're going to be very modern. They're going to disguise run versus pass. And I want to have pieces of the Seattle offense because Russell Wilson is insanely efficient. He has one of the craziest touchdown rates of all time, and it's sustainable. He has thrown 30 plus touchdowns in each of his last 4 seasons. So give me a potential red zone target in Gerald Everett that could just fall into the end zone 8 or 9 times. I've heard this on Twitter before, but I think that he could be the next, Robert Tonyan, where if Russell Wilson goes out there and strings together a very high upside season like Aaron Rodgers did last year, we could see Gerald Everett get pushed up with that. Then we have Kmet, who's going damn near undrafted in your home league most likely, but I think he's getting slept on because everyone's like, oh, Jimmy Graham's there. How is Kmet going to do anything? And I get that Jimmy Graham is there, and I get the concern, but when we're talking about pick 160 as a tight end 17, there's going to be concerns baked in. But Kmet last year was on pace to be the starter and make this year 2 jump because he eventually kind of overtook Jimmy Graham as the tight end 1. From weeks 13 to 17 down the stretch of the season, Kmet finally found the role, averaging 8.12 points per game after averaging 2.6 points per game prior to week 13. He started running more routes, getting more targets. And when we're talking about tight ends that, they progress from year 1 to year 2, he's going to have Justin Fields now instead of Mitch Trubisky. I like the trajectory that Kmet is on. Then we have quarterback in it, and it makes me mad that this guy has to be on my sleepers list. He used to be going on Underdog in picks like 77 to like 85, somewhere in that range. And he keeps creeping down all offseason. And we're talking about Jalen Hurts going at the pick 109. You can get him almost for free in redraft leagues. And let me tell you guys a story. We're talking about a late round quarterback, has Konami code rushing upside, who's getting slept on for reasons outside of his control. He sounds just like Lamar Jackson. Every year we have one of these guys that is a late round Konami code QB that nobody's accounting for. Jalen Hurts is that guy. He averaged 25 points per game last year as a rookie in his 3 starts, and he wasn't even a good passer. He threw for like 56% completion percentage. But because he ran so much, because he has wheels and he had a very high ADOT where he's pushing the ball downfield, he is perfect for fantasy football. Again, we are playing redraft, just 2021. I get that they brought Gardner Minshew in. I get that they're talking about Deshaun Watson and all of these things outside of Jalen Hurts' control. All I know, Jalen Hurts is going to be the quarterback for the Eagles, and there's not a trade they could make where Jalen Hurts gets supplanted. So even if the front office doesn't believe in him past 2021, we are getting a quarterback that is going to start for 2021. He is going to smash, and I think his ADP just keeps getting juicier. For this next part, we're going to double up on the rookie quarterbacks, Justin Fields and Trey Lance. I want to be targeting these Konami code rushing quarterbacks because they give you that cheat code in fantasy football. When 25 passing yards equals 1 point and 10 rushing yards equals 1 point and a passing touchdown equals 4 points and a rushing touchdown equals 6 points, we want to target the rushing quarterbacks. And I want to have exposure to both Trey Lance and Justin Fields. You can get them almost for free in redraft leagues, rounds 13 plus. And I think once they both come in, they're crazy rushing upside type quarterbacks. Once they both come in and they seize that starting role, they're going to be top 5 to 10 quarterbacks in points per game just off pure rushing volume. And a guy I'm cool with pairing with them. So if you want to go with a Trey Lance or Justin Fields, come around and pair them with a Ryan Fitzpatrick. He's going at pick 167 on Underdog as the QB 22. And the last 2 years, Fitz has been really good. Compared to his first 14 years, he's seen a resurgence. He had a career high in quarterback rating. And I'm actually open to the idea that quarterbacks can kind of age like fine wine a little bit. Aaron Rodgers just had a career year. Kurt Warner was great late in his career. Tom Brady has been great late in his career. Quarterbacks is just like a mental game of chess that I'm open to the idea that eventually you kind of can process things and get smarter. When you have Ryan Fitzpatrick, who's literally a Harvard graduate, it's not hard to see where if he kind of sees it enough times and he really gets into the rhythm of things that he could eventually, kind of win with his mind later on in his career. Now, I'm not saying he's going to be a world beater, but he now has the best weapons of his career, and he's very smart in terms of knowing when to be aggressive. He's not going to throw the game away unless it's like the 4th quarter. He's down 14. He's actually one of those quarterbacks where you don't have to scream at your screen like a Teddy Bridgewater where they're down, 7 in the 4th quarter with a minute left, and he's just taking check downs to Mike Davis all game. Ryan Fitzpatrick will make plays happen. Like last year against the Raiders where he gets like his chin, his face mask pulled back and he whips it down the field. He's going to have those kinds of plays and he's going to come up big for fantasy football. So if you can have that guy, the first 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks, then sub him out for a Trey Lance or Justin Fields, I think you're looking very good at the quarterback spot in 2021. Now that's going to do it for today. I have all of these guys in spots on my rankings where you're going to end up with them at the back end of your drafts. I'm higher than consensus on all of these guys. So if you want to have these guys on your fantasy teams in 2021, make sure you go check out my draft guide at patreon.com/Ron Stewart. It'll be in the description. It'll be down below in the comments. It's going to have my top 251 quarterback rankings, my super flex rankings. I know a lot of you guys out there playing super flex leagues. Going to be doing a huge update on Saturday. I think this video is going to come out on Saturday, so I'm going to be doing a huge update today. If you want to go out there and dominate your leagues, check that out. I also have a Discord channel exclusively for trade advice, fantasy advice, start sit, waivers, all of that for literally just $5 on the Patreon. It is a great deal to dominate your 2021 fantasy football leagues. That's going to do it for today. Let me know if you like these sleepers. Let me know if there's anybody that I left off this list that you think should have been on there. And we're going to be streaming every night up until kickoff for fantasy football. So make sure you stick around, man. I'm hanging out with you guys, having a good time with the chat, and things have been great, man. I've been feeling the love from you guys. I really appreciate all the likes, all the subscribes, all the comments you guys have been giving me. I really see all of that stuff, man. It means the world to me. Now, I'm going to hop off here because I'm going to go actually live stream right after I stop this video. So with all that being said, I'll see you guys on the live stream, and then I'll see you guys